Welcome to Leading Edge. I'm Tim Miller in for Jerry Anderson. We have a busy show, including Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and how you can help the local food bank. But we want to get started with something that doesn't happen until 2024, April 8th of 2024, but it's something you need to be thinking about already. It's the total solar eclipse. And joining us here on Leading Edge is Jeff Klein, the director of the Wood County Emergency Management Agency. Jeff, why are we worried about something that doesn't happen for about a year and a half? What's going on?
It's going to be something that we've never seen before. This is going to be something that is going to impact almost a good chunk of the country, from Texas out through the state of New York. And we are going to have the total solar eclipse. Like you said, it's going to be April 8th, and it's going to be about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, give or take a few minutes here or there. And one of the things that's kind of interesting about this is it is so rare that these things don't really happen very often. And because of that, it's going to bring a lot of people to our area. They are expecting our population to potentially double to triple because of that. So, I mean, when you think about, doubling the population for the surrounding counties, that's going to be a huge impact, and it's going to impact just about every aspect of our daily lives, from the grocery.
The next one in North America is not until 2044, and the next total solar eclipse in Ohio isn't until 2444. So you can understand why people want to see this phenomenon, and the path comes through Northwest Ohio. So that's why people will be coming here, right?
They will be coming here. And unlike the last solar eclipse that happened in 2017, that was primarily in Kentucky, Tennessee there, most people probably remember that. We got the really cool glasses to put on, and it really didn't get dark or anything like that. It is going to get totally dark for us. It's going to take about an hour and a half to get totally dark, and we're going to have, for our area, somewhere around a minute and a half of total darkness. It's going to get light again. But this, like we say, this is something that people haven't seen before. And, people travel, hundreds of miles to go see it. And Ohio is within 70% of the United States population, a one-day drive. So we are going to get people, and it is going to be, havoc on our infrastructure and all that. And really what we want now is people to put it on their radar. Kind of think about it. This is going to happen. This isn't going to be like it's not going to rain that day or anything. This is coming. So we kind of have to have that idea of what is it that we need to do to prepare for us. And I think that's the thing now, is to just kind of get it on the radar. And there's going to be a lot more on your shows about this in the coming future, I'm sure. But it's one of those things that we don't want to forget about, because when it happens, we're going to have issues probably. We know right off the bat with cell phones, and everybody's cell phone reliant. Your cell phones aren't going to work very well during that. So we want people to start thinking about alternate methods of communications and Wi-Fi, things like that, that if you're using like the hotspots, wireless devices, a lot of those things could be an issue. So now's the time to start thinking, how does it interact with my life? And, how am I going to be able to do some of these things and overcome it so it's not that big of a deal?
Yeah, so just picture people realizing that Wood County is in a place where you might want to find a spot. They're going to drive 2 hours away. They're going to drive 20 hours away. They're going to fly here to Northwest Ohio because they want to see this. They'll need hotels. They're going to be using water, sanitation, and emergency personnel. People are going to be pulled off the side of the road to watch this. Is that one of your biggest concerns, Jeff, as an emergency management director, is how are we going to get vehicles that have to get through when people, even if it's just for 5 minutes or so, are clogging the roads because they have to see this eclipse?
And that is exactly what we're afraid of. When the 2017 solar eclipse happened, Ohio sent a delegation to Kentucky just to kind of see what it was like. To give people an example, it took them 5 hours to drive there, 17 and a half hours to drive back. And they found gas stations that ran out of gas, restaurants that ran out of food. And that is kind of what we're trying to get folks here to understand, is there's a potential for that. So let's just be prepared for it. What can we do? How do we, mitigate some of those things? How do we open up the roads? I 100% think we're going to get a lot of people. I definitely think because of that. If you just look at the University of Bowling Green, they've got tens of thousands of alumni that went here. They feel comfortable being here. This is a place that they know well. Why would they not come back to this? When I go family, right? And see family, and to do things right. And they're so used to, well, I know that the university has this and this and this. So they're going to come back. When I would travel the state and go to meetings and stuff, and people, Wood County, it's like, oh yeah, the university, they know about Bass Pro, they know about Levis Commons. They know about these things. And I think that's going to bring people to Wood County. I think Lucas County they're going to be impacted as well. But the metropolitan cities, it's just harder to find some of those spots. And I think when you come to Wood County, we're going to have so many, what would appear to be open areas that we're going to get a lot of people. And one of the people that we've talked to from the state, they were living in, I think, Mobile, Alabama, wanted to go to Nashville to see the last one. They got as far as Birmingham, and they couldn't get any farther on the expressway. They knew about a park. They went there. When they got there was a few people there, and within a half hour, there was 1,000 people. So this is the kind of stuff to get to, out to folks and just kind of say, hey, look, this is going to happen. Kind of keep it on your radar. If you're a civic organization, one of the things that they would like to see people do is, the theme is kind of like come early, stay late. Mm-hmm. If you think about a football or a concert, something like that, everybody trickles in, but as soon as the event's over, everybody jumps in the car and you got traffic problems. So if some of these community events in these groups, if they could have like events that when the eclipse is done to kind of hold people there for a little bit and tie some of these things together, that is really going to help with the traffic congestion.
Yeah, it'll be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, as you mentioned. So instead of unleashing everyone back on the roads, if you can maybe have some kind of event where people can leave it whenever they want, kind of scatter that departing traffic a little better.
Exactly. And if you think 3 o'clock, that's rush hour. I mean, there's going to be people coming and going to work. They're going to have trouble. And that's where the businesses need to kind of think about this. And yeah, maybe it's not going to be that big of a deal for you, but if you've got labor contracts and things like that, changing the hours and doing that could very well be a big deal. And that's why let's give ourselves some time and start thinking about it, and kind of pay attention when you folks are talking about the solar eclipse and different things, kind of hear what's going on and kind of stay in tune to that.
Well, Jeff, we really appreciate it. Jeff Klein, the director for Wood County Emergency Management. They're already working on this. The state has a website where they're planning for it as well. So make sure you take that time, do a little bit of research, just know where you're going to be on that day. And I'm sure steer clear of emergency personnel, Jeff, because you guys need to get through, right?
That we do. That's going to be a challenge that day for sure.
All right. We know it's a year and a half away, but that's why we do Leading Edge, because we want to get ahead of things. Jeff Klein, thanks so much for joining us. We do appreciate you being here.
Thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity. Have a great day.
For sure. And we'll be back here on Leading Edge coming up. It's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and we're going to be talking to Warren Brown, the father of Alexa Brown.
Well, welcome back to Leading Edge. September is a very special month. It is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It's a time where we really focus on not only the disease itself, but what is being done to make sure we try to eradicate cancer and find new treatments for children. And joining me is Warren Brown on the Leading Edge here this morning. And thank you so much, Warren, for being here. We know you've been through a lot here in the Clyde and Sandusky County. You lost your daughter, Alexa, to cancer back in 2009. First of all, how has it been 13 years?
That time period, Tim, you would think would have just dragged, but it seems like just yesterday, honestly. I mean, time just seems to fly. And it's tough for us, tough for me, tough for our family to realize that Alexa would now be 24 years old and a college graduate. And, maybe hopefully in a couple of years, I would be walking her down the aisle. Those are all things that we're never going to get to do. And it's really important that, especially this month, that families and parents of young children understand how important it is to get a grip on this childhood cancer issue, to be sure that funding continues to increase for the research that is needed in order to hopefully find a cure, but at least to find something that will either cure or prevent.
And it would have been very easy, Warren, for you and your wife, Wendy, and your kids to, just kind of retreat after this happened to your family, but you really didn't. I mean, you wanted to remember Alexa in so many ways. You just had the 5K walk and run last weekend, and you guys have been out there raising money. Is that what keeps you going? Is that what helps you deal with the loss?
That, quite frankly, Tim, that's part of it. But I will tell you that our faith has helped us deal with the loss, in addition to the activities in which we've been involved. For 10 years, we did a golf outing in Alexa's memory and honor, and the proceeds from that have now built I will say substantial scholarship for graduates at Clyde High School. We started giving that out the first year that Alexa would have graduated.
Right.
The race has been something we've done since the summer of her death, and that has helped us raise considerable amount of money. It's a drop in the bucket, but it still gives purpose. And you know what? I guess now that I think about it, there is something that is cathartic about it. It's a time for memories to flood back in. And even as I shared with one of your reporters the other day, and was asked to provide a couple of pictures of Alexa, that was a very tearful time for me. Right. You know, anytime I look at her pictures, whether beach pictures or pictures when she was healthy and pictures after the surgery, I am just taken aback at the loss. But we keep moving on for primarily because of our faith, secondarily because we know the message has to stay out there that kids do develop cancer, and there must be funding in order to assist in that research.
Do you feel that progress is being made? Can we get to the point? We know that there have been some cancers that are treatable now in adults and in children. Are we getting closer to a point? You want to be optimistic, but sometimes you have to be a realist. I've always known you as that. You're a realist. You don't hold you show your cards. Do you think we're getting to the point, and it's going to take more years, where we could eradicate some more cancers, or at least find some more treatments? Is something around the corner?
I honestly, I'm not familiar enough with the research that's out there. I don't know what the cutting edge research is showing. I do know that we are still behind the 8 ball, so to speak, on getting a grip on it. The last statistics I read, even as early as yesterday, say upwards of 50 kids a day develop cancer. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but if you were to walk into your son or daughter's elementary school class and look at that classroom and the classroom of kids right next door, those kids are going to get cancer.
That's just so devastating to hear.
That is devastating when you put it in that perspective. Even yet today, we only have 6 drugs that are approved at the first instance for use in cancer treatment cancer of children.
So it's not moving quickly enough, obviously, to save
it is not
going through this.
It is not moving quickly enough. And part of the issue for treating children with the chemicals that they have to use is they're using adult chemicals and attempting to adjust it to the child's body. But of course, when children have cancer, their bodies are still growing, still changing, and inevitably, in many cases, I would venture to say the vast majority, either the primary or a secondary cancer comes if the child survives later in life. The primary or a secondary cancer is a result of the treatment they received during that childhood cancer period. It's
time you have to do something. You have to take action, right?
Absolutely, you do. I mean, inaction.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this, Warren, and Warren Brown joining us here on Leading Edge. Is there one thing that you think one family or one person can do? I know you've had all the fundraising events, you've had the race, you had the golf tournament for 10 years, you've raised a lot of money, but if someone's out there watching, I want to do something. I know it's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. What is something I can do, whether it be in September or any other month or week of the year?
I would urge them to go to the Pediatric Cancer Institute, or actually Pediatric Brain Tumor website. We have supported them in the past. I would urge them to go and study Nationwide Children's Hospital, where the proceeds from this year's race are ending up. I would also encourage them to read everything they can on childhood cancer. I mean, we don't think about it as adults, as me, as a 60-plus-year-old person. I am supposed to get cancer. It's not supposed to happen to kids. So if there's a person out there that wants to help, support St. Jude's, support the Children's Oncology Group, urge your legislators to push harder in Congress for the funding for childhood cancer.
Always great to talk to you, Warren. And we know your family is always on the go, always busy, and always raising money. And we really do appreciate it, and certainly go out and take Warren's advice there. Thanks so much for joining us on Leading Edge. Well, welcome back to Leading Edge. Things are very tough for families right now, and even individuals, because of the price of food, everything going up because of inflation. But it's even harder for a lot of families who really are having a tough time finding anything to eat. And it's also putting stress on local food banks. So joining us right now is Barbara Hofstetter from the Toledo Northwestern Ohio Food Bank. Barbara, thanks so much for joining us here on Leading Edge. How difficult is the situation right now? Maybe you're not getting as many donations as you normally would, right?
That's correct. Compared to last year at this time, we're down about 22% in donations, which is a big gap for us because we are seeing more households and more people coming to our member agency network to get supplies, food items.
So you have a kind of a two-pronged problem. You have more people who need the help because of inflation and the pandemic, and you have less people donating because it's tough on them too.
Correct. Yeah. So, people's budgets are not stretching as far as they used to. Our great network of donors, our retail partners, they're trying to do the best they can on their end with satisfying their store shelves, and also being able to donate to us to reduce their waste cost. But again, with everything, not just the supplies on the store shelves, but with the just all the ingredients that need to be, secured to make those, and then make the items and fill the shelves. They're pricey and hard to find too. So it's just a continuous cycle of things happening that the end user really feels.
And what are you really needing right now for people to donate? You certainly need meat, right? Because it's not just food that you need it to be nutritious food. People need protein to get
Right.
every day. So what are you looking for specifically at the Toledo Northwestern Ohio Food Bank?
So we are specifically looking things to help make a complete meal. Meat items are a big part of that. Shelf-stable meat items are welcome as well. The shelf-stable fruits, vegetables, pasta items. Like I said, something to help make a complete nutritious meal. We also look for non-foods too to help offset some of the cost of buying food. So, your shampoos, conditioners, toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap, those are all very helpful too.
And what are some of the things you're hearing from people who really need that help? Are they in more trouble than they have been in recent years? Is it pretty hard to hear that?
Well, everybody's trying to adjust to everything that we've been through in the last few years. And I think since this is all new ground for everybody, making those adjustments is very hard and difficult, especially when you're working with a tight budget to begin with.
And as far as donations go, you have individuals donating, you have the businesses and companies donating. I would imagine it's hard for companies to donate as much too, because they're having to maybe cut costs.
Correct. Yes. And we have some great supporters out there. They're still trying to donate in whatever fashion they can, Of course, we're always looking for food items, monetary items. We've been blessed to be recipients of some great grants out there to help keep the food bank operating and keep our fleet out on the road. But there's all kinds of different ways people can help and businesses can help. Like I said, food, fun, volunteerism, being advocates, talking about it. The best ideas start with the simple conversations. And with companies too, when they're, getting a new furniture, new equipment, if the older furniture still has some really good life on it, that's great for us and our member agencies to help with our facilities too. I don't think a lot of people realize how much in the back end goes on to make all this food distribution work.
It's not just about food then, is it?
No, it's not. So anytime, we can get, a supply of reams of paper or pens or, things as simple as that, maybe office chairs or office dividers to help enhance the office space so we can work more efficiently. That only helps with our mission of trying to put more meals on the table.
And every company's dealing with the shortage in staff right now. It seems like I'm imagining you need more volunteers too to step up and help.
Yes, and we definitely are feeling the staff shortage as well. So yes, we're relying great on volunteers to help us specifically with our warehouse process of getting food sorted, stocked, keeping the facility clean, and just working with the limited staff that we do have to get the food out to our member agencies.
Barbara Hofstetter from the Toledo Northwestern Ohio Food Bank. Barbara, what would you say to people who say we usually give or we donate, we can't do it right now? What would you say to them to try to get them to realize the need is even greater than it was?
Well, first, I would say thank you for your previous support. That has meant a lot and has gone a long way. And we understand the hardship. So any support that you can bring to us, whether it be food funds, volunteerism, like I said, being advocates, talking to your local governments, your officials, anything like that is a very powerful step in making this happen.
All right. Well, we certainly hope you get the help that you need. Barbara Hofstetter from the Toledo Northwestern Ohio Food Bank. You guys do amazing work. Thank you so much for joining us here on Leading.
Thank you.
All right. And we will be right back. My thanks to all of our guests here on Leading Edge. I'm Tim Miller in for Jerry Anderson. Thanks so much for joining us.